Welcome to the Mix and Match podcast, the place where we bring together the art inspired by the music and the music inspired by the art. We'll introduce you to creators of all kinds who draw inspiration from music. In some cases, there will be writers, and in others, painters, potters, glassblowers, doctors, nurses, mechanics, and maybe even a cobbler or two. In short, there'll be members of our tribe, artisans, creators, and people from all walks of life who connect with music. We asked each guest to create a playlist around any theme they want, which we link to in the show notes. During our conversation, we'll go through each song. Because where there is music, there is inspiration. Welcome to Mix and Match. Thank you for joining us.
What would you say you do?
So I got myself a copy, and then I get a friend request from Stephen Piercy of Rat from Facebook, and I was like, oh, well, I said, hey, would you want a copy of this? He's like, yeah, I would. So I sent him my copy, and I still have to get around to ordering myself a replacement copy.
Oh, wow. That's very cool. I was going to ask you about that in particular. Very cool. Greg Prato, thank you for joining me this evening.
Thank you, Keith. How you doing?
I'm well, thank you. I am well. What was the first song you really remember going, oh, I like this? I don't want to speak for you, but for me, music is a life force. You know, it motivates me to do a lot of different things. So I'm just curious, was there a particular song or band or moment that made you realize, bing, oh, wow.
I remember the first 45 I ever owned was Silly Love Songs by Paul McCartney and Wings, because I remember being in the car with my mother driving and that song always coming on the radio. And I tended to enjoy the horn part in that song, I believe, is what really got me with that song. And when I told my mom I enjoyed that song, she kindly bought me the 45. And then as a kindergarten graduation gift, which would have been about a year later, my mom was kind enough to get me Kiss's debut album, even though it was in the late 70s. By that point, she got that for me. And I listened to it. It was not what I thought Kiss would sound like, because I was just familiar with what they looked like at that point through Kiss trading cards. But,
Yeah.
But after I heard it, when I first heard the album, I didn't know what to make of it. But the more I listened to it, the more I enjoyed it. And then soon after, I was hooked by rock and roll.
Kiss keeps coming up a lot in the past month, and I don't know if there's a heightened awareness because they just concluded their finger quoting final tour, or but I never got Kiss.
Are you from the suburbs?
I am. I'm from the Midwestern suburbs, no less.
Okay, because it seems like the suburbs of New York, which is where I'm from, Kiss was a very, very big band. I always say that you got to come from the suburbs to get Kiss, but that's not necessarily true because Kiss themselves are from New York City. So
yeah.
I guess that theory has some holes in it.
To that end, Kiss was an entryway to talking about your book on a recent interview with the guys from Shufflepuck. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm trying to get Greg Prato on the show to talk about Rat. And they're both like, there's a Rat book? I'm like, yeah. And I held it up for them like, oh, my God. So they were very excited about that.
Good.
You've written, I didn't even count, a lot.
Too many books. Too many.
No such thing. No such thing. It's nice to see that people are still writing books.
Yeah.
You know, what is your research process like?
It changes from book to book. I'm lucky that I write full times and I write for a bunch of sites and magazines. So I have a very good set of publicists and contacts. And now with the internet, you could reach out to just about almost any artist, or at least you can get contact info for them through a publicist or management.
Yep.
So, it just so happens with this Rat book, I did a story on them back in the 2000s for Classic Rock Magazine, which is a British publication.
Mm-hmm.
And I interviewed the 4 surviving members. And then throughout the years, I've interviewed most of the guys again. And then just last year, I interviewed Stephen Piercy, the singer, again for a site called Song Facts. And then Juan Crucier, the bassist, twice I interviewed for a different site. And I realized just from the interviews alone that I've conducted with them over the years that really was the building block for a very good book. So I just kind of built on that with this book, which is called World Infestation, The Rat Story.
And it's a good book. I can attest to that.
Thank you. It's available as paperback, hardcover, Kindle, and also audio. And I'm the one that does the narration, so you can enjoy my Long Island accent throughout the whole entire.
Is your preferred genre heavy metal?
No, I listen to a bunch of everything. Probably heavy metal is what I know the most about because that was when I was a teenager in the 80s. That was definitely my favorite style of music.
Okay.
The style of music I probably enjoy the most and that really meant the most to me is 90s alternative type stuff because the reason being I was old enough to go to shows at that point. I was experiencing like Soundgarden Super Unknown coming out and me buying it the day it came out and listening to it. Whereas a band like Kiss, who I loved, I wasn't old enough to get Alive when it first came out. Or Led Zeppelin, who I loved, I wasn't old enough to get Houses of the Holy. You know, like it's different when you can experience these albums in time. That said, a lot of the Rat albums I did experience in real time because in the 80s I was all about, you know, it's metal. I was listening to Rat and Iron Maiden, Metallica, Ozzy, you know, so I was definitely on top of all the metal at that point. But I really listened to just about, I live by the rule that every genre has good artists and bad artists. So, you know, so you can't present a genre to me that I would just say I don't like it, anything of there. Has to be something that's good about it.
Noise metal. Norwegian death metal.
I'm sure there's some type of noise metal offshoot band that I probably would. I mean, early Bad Brains, is that considered noise metal? Because Bad Brains is one of my favorite. I mean, it's not metal, but maybe like noise punk or something is maybe early Bad Brains, and Bad Brains is one of my favorite bands.
I'm a sucker for a good hook, good melody. I like pop music. I like rock music.
After everything I just said, my favorite band of all time is Queen. So that doesn't fit with me being into 90s alternative rock by me saying that statement.
To the Rat end. I've been listening to the playlist for the past couple of days, and I remember them as a kid. Mm-hmm. The one song I loved more than all the others was Back for More.
Okay.
Because I loved that acoustic intro. But the more I listened to your playlist, the more I liked the band. It was a real growth process. I knew the majority of the songs, and I was kind of meh about them. Even back in the 80s, I was kind of meh about them.
Yeah.
Well, the one song I struggled with the most until about 2 hours ago was Cry in Time.
Okay.
That took a number of listens before I was like, no, this is actually quite good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was a fun get.
Okay, good.
There seems to be a lot of animus among the band.
Certain bands can remain together forever, like Rush. Other bands, just the personalities or business dealings or whatever, or who owns the name of the band. There's a variety of things that happen with these bands. Like, I don't know exactly with Rat who owns the name, who doesn't, what the percentages of what people are owed with money, or if they were to tour as Rat, who gets paid what, if it's all equal, or if certain people get more money. I don't know what the split up would be with that. I'd imagine that's what it is, because it always comes down to, like, you know, money with these types of tours and business ventures.
Yeah.
So that's probably there's currently 2 Rat type. There's actually now, I think, 3 type Rat type. Stephen Piercy's touring on his own. Then it was just announced that Juan Crucier, the bassist, is going to tour with a Rat type thing. Not called just Rat, but like Juan Crucier's Rat or something. I forget. And then also Bobby Blotzer, the drummer, is going out as something like Bobby Blotzer's Rat Experience or Rat something it's called. And I think Stephen Piercy just goes out as Stephen Piercy of Rat. But yeah, there's no just regular Rat band out there right now.
Well, three of the 4. Where's Warren?
Yeah, I don't know. He recently was at one of the rock camp type things that they have in California. I saw pictures of him jamming with some students. So he's still out there. But yeah, he supposedly, from what I could tell, doesn't want anything to do with Rat anymore, because last year they put out a box set, which would have been the perfect time for them to reunite. And also this year is the 40-year anniversary of the album Out of the Cellar. So that also would have been a golden opportunity for the surviving members to get back together, but they just couldn't work it out.
That's a shame. That's a shame. Fans have to suffer.
Yeah, it's true.
We often talk about the process of writing. Do you have a process? For me, it's mostly avoiding until I can't avoid it any longer. Then I sit down and I write.
Yeah, the process is I look at all the bills I have to pay, and then I say, I better sit down and start writing, because if I don't, then I'm not going to have a place to live anymore.
All right, that's fair.
I mean, I'm lucky, and what's funny is with writing, I was always good in school with creative writing in general, spelling. I was always very good at English. Came to be very, very easy. I did not know I wanted to be a writer and I went to college and take any journalism classes. I had no idea I wanted to be a writer. I took a job at a now defunct music magazine in 1997 as a customer service rep.
Okay.
And I saw how easy it was just by seeing some of the other writers there. And I gave it a shot, and I was able to do a little bit of writing for them. But then it was clear that I wasn't going to be able to get a full-time gig writing with them. So I jumped ship. And that was right when the big net boom started. So I was able to get my foot in the door with some of the music sites. And then from there, I was able to build up writing for sites. And then later I made the jump to books. But to answer your question, your original question, I'm just lucky that if I'm told I have a deadline and I have to get this done in time, I have no problem doing it. Books come very easy to me.
Really?
Writing in general, editing is kind of, editing and transcribing interviews are probably transcribing the interviews are like the least fun part because it's so time consuming. But I just look at the end result, the potential end result, and that's always a very big inspiration to get the work done.
Well, I have to imagine regarding transcribing, there's an AI tool that will do that for you.
There is, but you got to go back and you have to read it anyway. And even when it's transcribed through the computer, like it's just one long run-on sentence, and you always got to go back and read it. And it's always going to be that you have to go line by line by line. And sometimes it takes just overall, sometimes it takes exactly the same time if I just sit there and transcribe it. So I just do that just to cut it out. But I'm sure that there will probably be a time when they improve that and it gets to be better.
Well, sure. And doing it your way gives you a chance to do a one-off edit. It's like, all right, I know you're editing as you're transcribing.
Yeah.
To a certain extent.
Or like also proofing it proofreading it while I'm typing. Yeah.
Yeah. I have an old writing workshop teacher. She would handwrite her first draft.
Oh, okay.
And then when she went to sit down to type it, she's like, that's my first edit.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah. Well, I'm sure back in the good old days, that's what most writers do, is probably write it out first.
Would you qualify? Would you say you're a reader as well?
Yes. Yeah. I like to read rock biographies. I like to read. The most recent one I read was Geddy Lee's autobiography, which I thought was great. It was very sad and moving. Did you get a chance to read that book?
I'm halfway through. I'm listening to it on Spotify.
Oh, okay. The part with his the hell that his parents had to go through being concentration camp survivors is very, very sad. I mean, it's like it's good to hear that they were able to work their way through that, but just the hell that those poor people had to go through makes you appreciate, what life is like for someone like me now. They wouldn't have to worry about stuff like that. And
it was a cool story. Yeah, thankfully. And it was a cool story when they went back to visit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a neat story.
That was cool. Yeah.
Do you read rock and roll fiction at all?
No, it's really nonfiction. I mean, I also read a lot of like just sports articles because I root for 3 New York teams that suck.
Okay. So let me see if I can guess.
Good.
That's going to be the Mets.
Yep.
The Jets.
Yep.
And I'm going to say the Rangers.
No,
the Rangers
Islanders.
Islanders. Okay. You knew it had to be hockey.
Yeah. Oh, you got it. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I actually have done books on all 3 of those teams as well.
Wow.
Yeah, I took a little bit of a detour, and I've done some sports books. The most recent one was a book about the Jets, which was about their top 100 biggest foul ups.
Only 100?
Yeah. What's funny is I tell my friends, like, yeah, I should probably do one about the Mets. And like the Mets, you could do probably like 5 volumes if it's going to be about the Mets.
What is it about those guys? I mean, the Mets are a constant punchline. Are
Well,
they really that?
well, you know what? It's funny is I do agree that the Mets, but the worst of those 3 has to be the Jets. That is, at least with the Mets in my lifetime, I've witnessed a World Series win. The Islanders, of those 3 franchises, are definitely the best. I've witnessed multiple Stanley Cups when I was young.
Okay.
The Jets, I've witnessed absolutely nothing, just a bunch of punchlines for Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yeah, that's really about all I can say the Jets have given me.
Well, that's not nothing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Listen, at least it could always be worse. It could be the Los Angeles Clippers, right?
Basketball, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They've never been to anything for as long as they've been in the NBA.
Have you ever written a book about a band you didn't like?
Band I didn't like. Well, I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, Rat I loved when I was younger. Then I lost interest. Again, I can appreciate all styles of music. But
Sure.
the one criticism I'll say with Rat is, besides maybe Out of the Cellar or even that, there was never really a Rat album that front to back was consistently brilliant. I mean, I guess Out of the Cellar comes close, but even with that, I find myself skipping a few songs. My favorite Rat release ever was their self-titled EP, but that's just an EP. So, I mean, but it's not like I don't like Rat, but, if you ask me who my top 10 favorite bands are, Rat wouldn't be one of them. But I wouldn't say that I, don't like them. It's just that, I listen to Queen and Soundgarden and AC/DC much more than I find myself listening to Rat. But that said, by doing this book, I did listen to Rat a lot. So yeah, I guess it just depends on where I'm at in life.
At this day and age, you could almost create a Spotify playlist of your greatest hits. So it would be good back to back,
All right.
Start to finish. That EP I was reading sold like 100,000 copies. Now, in this day and age, people might be like, well, what's the big deal? But in 1981 or 82, that was an epic amount, especially for an independent release.
Yeah, it came out in 83, I think.
83? Okay.
83, and then it was reissued a year later on Atlantic.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's also their heaviest. It's their most raw and also heavy sounding album. I think that's the style, that's the production they should have kept throughout. I know that Robin Crosby, Rat's late guitarist, has went on record, and he's quoted in the book as saying that's what he wanted throughout all of Rat, but he was, I guess, either outvoted or they just wound up going for kind of like a glossy pop metal type production.
I mentioned this a moment ago, the Crying Time tune. What I liked about that and what grew on me was Stephen Pearcy's vocals. It was a little bit more raw than the produced version of his voice, and I actually kind of liked that more.
Yeah, that, and also that has Jakey Lee on guitar, and he's one of the most underrated metal guitarists of all time. I think it's a shame that Ozzy only used him for 2 albums and got rid of him and never brought him back. It seemed like he got the short end of the stick with Ozzy because he's fantastic. I mean, a lot of the guitarists in the 80s, like these shredder guitarists, I know that they're very talented and they could play very fast, but the difference between a lot of those shredder guitarists with like the pop metal bands or hair metal bands or glam metal bands, you could hear a few seconds of George Lynch, it's George Lynch. A few seconds of Jakey Lee, it's him. A few seconds of Warren DeMartini. Whereas now all these shredders just sound totally the same. It seemed like in the 80s, a lot of those types of guitarists at least put their own unique spin on it. Or, you could hear a little bit of them and they stood out. It wasn't just all same sounding.
Who would qualify as a shredder today?
I just interviewed Herman Lee from the band Dragon Force.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I have a friend of mine who's a big fan of theirs.
Okay, yeah. There's actually 2 shredder guitarists in that band. So it's, and then one from the 80s who remains popular to this day is Michelangelo Battillo, the guy who plays the 2 necks at the same time.
Okay.
He's currently the guitarist in the band called Manowar.
Okay, I know Manowar. Yeah. If I may ask, are you doing a book on shredders or Dragon Force?
No, I did a book. I did a book on shredders a few years back called Shredders.
Okay.
And it has a picture of Eddie Van Halen from '78 on it.
The ultimate shredder. Who was the? I read Darren Paltrowitz's book.
About David Lee Roth.
Yeah, and I can't remember the guy's name now, who played with Dave sporadically, who was allegedly the guy who taught Eddie how to tap.
Oh,
can't remember his name. Starts with an R.
You said it starts with an R?
Yeah.
Was it Richie Cunningham?
No, I was like, no, it was not. It was Potsy.
That's a good one.
The Rat book.
Yes.
World Infestation.
The Rat Story. I think the book cover came out pretty good, right? What do you think?
I'm looking at it now for those listening.
Yeah. It was modeled after the album Dancing Undercover, that cover.
I think it came out great.
White photos and the same order of the band and the writing. The font, I mean.
Yep, and everyone has their mouth open except Warren.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Which is kind of fitting.
Right.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
Bunch of great photos in here too.
Yes. Yeah, I was lucky. The photographer Christopher Lee Helton came through in a very big way. I have to tip my cap to him. He took a lot of great photos and let me use a lot.
What do you think the relationship is between Rat and Motley Crue now?
Pretty good. Actually, in the book, we talk about it. Steven, when I interviewed him last year, said he's still good friends with Vince Neil.
Okay.
So, and I asked him what he thought about the whole Mick Mars situation. He kind of just he didn't really go on record that much. Maybe either hits a little too close to home or maybe he doesn't want to upset, the Motley Crue members who he's still friends with. But from what I can understand from speaking to Steven recently, he's still friends with Vince Neil.
What an amazing time to be in LA. The quality of music that came out of that era is kind of akin to what came out of Seattle in the early 90s.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be hot spots. You could say like New York City in the early to mid 70s with all the punk bands, the grunge bands. Then, of course, you could say the Sunset Strip. But, Sunset Strip is funny because it's gone throughout the years. Like I know like in the 60s, it was like a whole psychedelic type thing. Then by the late 70s, you had like Van Halen, Quiet Riot. Then it became punk bands in the late 70s, early 80s. Mm-hmm. And then by about 82, 83, it went from punk to all, the bands like Motley Crue and Rat and the revamped Quiet Riot without Randy Rhoads and all the other bands that got signed.
What do you think it is now? I have no idea what it would be.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
It's interesting, though. That whole regionality thing is interesting, but just the quality of the bands that came out of there. And it seemed like they were all friends with one another.
Yeah, it seemed like they were friendly. Yeah, friendly. There was maybe a little bit of friendly competition, but it wasn't like that they were backstabbing each other. I did a book a few years back called Grunge is Dead, The Oral History of Seattle Rock Music. And one thing, when I was interviewing all those members of those bands, they said back in the 80s, you would go to a Soundgarden show and you'd see all the members from Mudhoney and the Melvins and Screaming Trees, and you go to a Screaming Trees show and there would be Soundgarden and Mudhoney. It would be like all the members of the bands would go to each other's shows and they would support each other.
Let's jump into the Rat playlist. Now, the first song you selected was You Think You're Tough.
Yes, from their self-titled EP.
Yes.
How many songs were on the EP and why that particular one?
It was either 5 or 6 because the European version had one extra track. I think there were only 5 on the US version. I could be wrong, though. It could be 6 with the 7th.
Okay.
You just have to read the book to find out. But
I got to finish the book first.
But and let me just sidetrack. What did you finish the book, or you said that you haven't finished the book yet?
Right at the pictures.
Okay. What do you think of the book so far?
I like it very much. I like it suits my ADHD.
Okay.
And it's enough of a beginning, middle, and end. In other words, it's following the career trajectory of the band.
Right.
I really like the Robin Crosby stuff, and I don't know if that's because he's dead. He seems to have had a sensitivity that I'm not picking up from some of the other guys as of yet.
Yeah, the one thing that I even mentioned towards the end of the book is there wasn't a single bad word anyone ever said about him. It was all positive, so it seemed like he had the biggest heart of all the Rat band members. It seemed like he was the most well liked.
The same is not true of the drummer Bobby. No, is it?
It seems like I mean, I didn't set out to, I just use the quotes I was told and that I came across, but that's the overall consensus. People are pretty clear that what their opinion was about him.
Ricky Rockman did not have anything nice to say about him.
He didn't. Yeah. I didn't set out. I was just like, what did you think of so-and-so? And that was what they said. So
I do want to ask you a question about the font. Is that something you consider when you're writing or when you're getting ready to publish?
You mean the font, like you mean on the cover or like in the actual
in the book? The type. I know the cover is considered.
Yeah. It really depends. I mean, I know one mistake I did. The first book I ever did was a book about one of my favorite singers of all time, Shannon Hoon from the band Blind Melon.
Oh,
yeah. It's called A Devil on One Shoulder and an Angel on the Other.
Yep.
And that one I had someone else format for me because it was before I learned. Now what I do is I do everything myself. My wife is she's very talented with Photoshop, so she designs my cover. She did this Rat book cover. But for that Blind Melon Shannon Hoon book, I had someone else format it. And I look at the formatting now of the book, and the words, the font is too small inside. I would have gone for a bigger font. So I think pretty much what I just do with each book now, I just use the same font, the same type and everything like that. I pretty much just try to keep it consistent from book to book because it seems to be working well. So
there you go. Next, we go into Back for More, which is a personal favorite of mine. I like
that one. And a lot of people don't realize the EP version has one extra little bit in it that they cut out for the Out of the Cellar version.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that.
Go back and listen to the original version.
Walking the Dog, which is a cover.
It's a cover of a cover of a cover because
it's Rufus Thomas who did it originally.
Yes, Rufus Thomas, but then it was, of course, Aerosmith that kind of introduced it to a lot of rock fans. It was on their 73 self-titled debut. And then Rat covered it because I'm sure because they were big Aerosmith fans at the time. So that's probably where they got the idea to do it. But I'll be honest, I think Rat's version is just as good. I mean, I think Aerosmith is great too, but Rats is also very good too. And they also do something interesting. They add a different, the way it begins and ends is the same. Like they made it a little bit different. And I always like when a band takes a cover and they put a little spin on it. They don't just do like a straight cover. So that's what I like about that one.
Where do you land with Aerosmith?
I go up to and including Rockin' a Hard Place. Then after that, I kind of lose interest. I liked them throughout the 80s at the time, but I never listened to the albums when they brought in all the outside songwriters. That's when I kind of got turned off. And from Get a Grip onward, I have not heard one the last Aerosmith album I bought was Pump, and that was the last one I heard in its entirety. And I even saw that tour back in 1990, but I've never heard any other Aerosmith full length. I mean, again, I do like Aerosmith and I appreciate everything they did, but it's just not for me after that period of time.
No, I'm with you. That anything after, well, even Rockin' a Hard Place. By then, Joe Perry had left. If I'm not
He left,
mistaken.
but it's weird because that's an era where a lot of people are jumping ship from bands like Kiss only had 2 original members. Aerosmith at that point only had 3 original members. But there's like a weird point where it seemed like these bands almost felt like they had to overcompensate and put out a really strong album. And I think that album was surprisingly very good. And with Kiss, they put out an album called Creatures of the Night, which was a very, very strong album. Their strongest album at that point in almost like 5 years. So it seemed like that they almost wanted to make up for all these original band members leaving and to show that they still meant business.
I noticed you did a book on Eric Carr.
Yes. Indeed, I did.
What is he? Am I mistaken? Did he die of cancer?
He did. Yeah, he died of a rare form of heart cancer, which is horrible. But he's one of the few people that a lot of members that replace a original member in rock band, they're usually not well liked. But I would say he was probably the most well liked replace. I mean, besides maybe like Brian Johnson of AC/DC,
right?
But he was totally accepted by Kiss's fans, I guess, because they could maybe they could picture, since he was nobody coming into a big band, maybe they could kind of like relate to him or something. I don't know, but
that makes sense.
He and also his drumming is great on the He has a John Bonham type sound on the Creatures of the Night album, which was a great drum sound.
Are you yourself a musician?
I play guitar a little bit, and I used to fool around with GarageBand, just doing instrumental stuff, but I haven't done that in about a year or so. Maybe I should get back into it.
Yeah, you should. I mean, why not? Because you can.
Might as well.
You can put music to your books. I had Eric Beatner, who's a writer. I pitched him. I'm like, why don't you come on the show and create 10 songs, create a playlist? It was like, I don't know why books don't come with soundtracks.
I'm glad you pointed that out. I put out a book, actually 2 books. Let me right now tell you the names of these 2, because there were 2 Kindle only books I put out.
Okay.
Which was last year. Let me get the exact titles for you. I'm getting this for you. Okay. The first is very easy to remember. The 100 Greatest Songs of Heavy Metal is one, and the other one is the 100 Greatest Songs of Punk Rock. And what it is, as the title says, it's 100 songs. I go song by song. And then at the end of every song, there is a YouTube link. And since it's a Kindle only, you can only get this on Kindle. You click on it, it takes you right to YouTube so you can hear that song. And then also on top of that, I put together Spotify playlists, and I include that link in the actual Kindle thing that you purchase when you purchase the book. And I have the whole playlist for both books, so you could hear the whole entire playlist for all the songs that I'm talking about.
That's awesome. And what was the response? What has the response been?
It's been good because I priced them very, very low. They're only $2.99 each.
Okay.
So, yeah, and and it's like the setup is the song, and then a couple of like recommendations, and it's not just like a straight ahead, and also a quote from either the actual band or someone a renowned musician who was a fan of that song or that band. So I try to give a little bit of extra, so it's not just me just discussing a song. There's a little more interesting stuff about that. Yeah.
Walking the Dog goes into Wanted Man, which is also a great jam.
Yeah, it's a good song. That was, I forgot, by doing this book, things came back to my memory that I hadn't thought of in years. And I remembered Wanted Man is in the movie Weird Science, if you could believe that.
I cannot believe that, actually.
It's in a very crucial scene where Anthony Michael Hall and Kelly LeBrock are in a car driving.
human target in my eyes. I've got you in my sights, and by the road you will hang. It's your neck from this rat cage. It's really what you wanna be. A wanted man, a wanted man, a wanted man, a wanted
And then the classic round and round.
Had to include that.
You have to. You can't ignore that.
out on the streets, that's where we meet. You make the night, I always cross the lines. Hide our bells, abuse the cells, get in our way. We'll put you on
What do you think the added benefit of having Milton Berle's nephew? I forget his name.
His name is Marshall Berle.
Marshall Berle.
Yes.
Was that an advantage, do you think, to both Van Halen in the early stages?
Well, I
And
mean,
these
not
guys.
so much, probably not so much with Van Halen because they fired him after, I think, the first tour or his second tour. I think it was his first tour. They fired him, and they got Noel Monk, who went on to write a great book, which is probably one of my favorite Van Halen books.
I'm glad to hear you say that because I think I've heard quite the opposite.
Okay, no, I was a huge fan of that book.
I was too. Yeah, I read it.
Yeah.
I literally read it in a day.
Yeah. Same thing with me. I sat down. I liked it so much. I just read throughout the whole thing. You're right. Yeah,
Yep.
I agree. But I mean, at that point, they were just trying to get noticed. So why not? I mean, the thing I talk about in that book, I mean, at that point, well, not just me, but just any kind of MTV viewer at that point in the year 1984 wouldn't know who the hell Milton Berle is. So it wasn't like they had like Mr. T or someone that was popular at that time in their video, so, but it obviously worked out well because that video was a hit. And when you think of that video now, you think of Warren DeMartini crashing through the ceiling.
Correct.
Think of the girl climbing up the stairs, and you think of Milton Berle dressed as a man, and also the woman, his trademark thing. So,
yep. I don't know what it says about me, but I knew who Milton Berle was for.
Well, I'm trying to think if I did know who he was. No, you know what? Honestly, I didn't know who he was at that point. It was only later that I found that, I found out more about him, and now I know who he is. And
I was a TV nerd, so my parents were very quick to educate me on his relevance in television.
Yeah, he was part of the whole golden age of television in the 50s. Yeah, and
then also famous for having a very large appendage.
Ah, yes, that is true. That is true.
All right, Uncle Milty.
Right.
Lay It Down is the next one.
Don't really
Why that one?
Well, that one was probably their best known song off their second full length, which is Invasion of Your Privacy. That one was that was their last top 40 hit, and it peaked at number 40.
Whoa.
But see, the thing with Rat is they had a lot of MTV hits that MTV would play like on Brainwash rotation, but they were not hits on the top 100 Billboard. Kiss at the same time in the 80s had the same problem. I don't know if it was the record label, if it was payola or what it was to get your singles high on Billboard's single. But I know MTV would play Rat videos nonstop, and they should have charted a lot higher than they did. You know, Round and Round was their only top 10 hit ever, even though they had a bunch of other songs that the amount of times they were played should have definitely charted higher. But yeah, Lay It Down. The beginning opening guitar thing is very interesting. And also, Jakey Lee is quoted in the book as when he started to record the Ozzy album Ultimate Sin, the producer, who I think was Ron Nevison, asked him to play him some guitar tones that he enjoyed and like what he wanted to base his sound off of. And the opening to Lay It Down was one of the things that he played. Or he played Ron Nevison, the producer.
Right. Is that the video where they're driving up to the whiskey in a limo?
No. In that video, it starts off with the Lay It Down video starts off with a little sequence type thing where it's children at a party, and it's supposed to be Stephen Pearcy as a little boy, and then it forwards to the band playing and Stephen Pearcy whispering in a girl's ear and all kinds of shenanigans.
I was listening to the lyrics of Round and Round and Back for More, and they're not terribly complicated lyrics.
Yeah, I would say Stephen Pearcy would probably say that he's not going to be confused with like Shakespeare anytime soon with his lyrics, but
well, they work
with a song like Back for More. What he's singing in the lyrics fit perfectly. So you don't, of course I love Rush. Rush is one of my favorite bands of all time too, but Neil Peart lyrics are not going to fit in any kind of Rat song, and Rat lyrics aren't going to fit in any kind of Rush. It depends on the band.
No.
Right.
Did you ever read any of his books?
I read most of Ghost Rider. I didn't finish it, but I did enjoy it at the time. I should probably go back and read it again.
Yeah, that was a very good book. That was the only one I read, but
okay, yeah, I should go back and read that one.
Brutal story, but
it is very, very sad. But I give him credit that he was able to get on with his life, and sad how he died too ultimately. But at least he was able to have to rebuild his life after that horrible stretch.
Next up after Lay It Down is What You Give Is What You Get.
Yes.
I take command of the scene. give is what you get. 'Cause it's so easy to forget. What you give is what you get. It's so easy to forget.
Now, the reason why I picked that one is that album, Invasion of Your Privacy, only had 2 videos filmed for it.
Mm-hmm.
Their first album had 3 videos. I think all their other albums had 3 videos. That song, when I hear it, totally, I think, should have been a single in video. I think it was a single. It maybe like a radio single, but it was never released as like a wide single. Is what like there was definitely no video for it, nothing like that. It wasn't publicized. And when I hear that song, I think that song would have been another big hit for MTV and possibly could have because it's very melodic. I think it would have also translated very well to the charts as well. So that was a fumble on the record label's part, I believe, with that one.
Had the sounds moved on? What year did that come out? Where does that put us? And what were we?
That was from 1985. So that was their second full-length album. Yeah. So that in 85 on MTV, you had like Night Ranger, Motley Crue.
Yeah.
That type. It was, melodic, not quite. It's not as heavy as like say Metallica, but it's still melodic and it's still appealing to people like me at the time.
Interestingly, you point out in the book, and it's true, they never did a ballad, a power ballad. Not
until a few songs in, and I honestly, I think it's called "I Want to Love You Tonight," which is on, I believe, their 4th album. I think it's their 4th album. So it wasn't until 4 albums in, and like at that point, that's when power ballads were all the rage with Def Leppard and Poison and Sweet Child of Mine, all that stuff.
You would say Sweet Child of Mine's a power ballad?
Let me think about that. Power ballad? Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay. I'm gonna respectfully disagree. I think it's just a great rock song. To me, Every Rose Has a Thorn is a power ballad.
Yeah. What about Love Bites by the band Def Leppard?
Power ballad.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I'm struggling. Nope, power ballad. I'm gonna go power ballad. Yeah. I don't know what it is about Sweet Child of Mine.
What about Angel by the band Aerosmith?
Fuck them. Fuck that. I fucking hate that song. I hate.
Yeah, I don't like. Yeah.
No, I get it. Slip of the Lip.
Yes,
is next.
Sweet 16, you couldn't see straight.
That's probably my most favorite underrated Rat song. There's something about it. I don't know what. And again, it's clearly an 80s hair metal, glam metal type thing. And that's not really, again, like I said earlier, I can appreciate all styles of music, but hair metal, glam metal 80s is not really my go-to anymore. I mean, again, in the 80s, I did clearly like Motley Crue and Rat in those bands. I even shockingly purchased and owned Slippery When Wet when it came out. But
whoa! Why do you say shockingly? That's a decent record.
I have to say, Bon Jovi just does not do it for me.
No, they don't do it for me either. But you can't deny it's a good record.
At the time, again, that's one of the I don't know. Just music is totally subjective. One band that I say I love, you don't like. One band you like,
totally.
It took me many years to figure that out. But you can't say one band is. Yeah, I mean, it just each person is what's music to my ears isn't to someone else's. But getting back to the song "Slip of the Lip," that's a very underrated Rat song. I would say. I
think a lot of these songs are underrated Rat songs.
Yeah, I went for. I mean, there's some standout ones I picked, but I also tried to throw in a few that weren't your typical picks.
Now, Way Cool Jr. is not only is it a great title.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very good song, and I think that's the one I'm thinking of, where they drive up in a limo.
Yes, yeah. You're right. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I mean,
all these years on, it still resonates in my head.
Yeah, the thing I say in the book is, whenever Rat on those albums, the first few albums, whenever they experimented or went a little bit off what you'd expect, like with Way Cool Jr., the results are always pretty good. So my criticism also is I think they could have maybe varied their albums a little bit more.
Town, got fancy clothes.
To me, Way Cool Jr. is a Aerosmithy almost type song, which I think is much better than what most of what Aerosmith was even doing at that point. So I think that they were onto something with that, and that they probably could have continued with doing kind of experimental, not experimental, but for them maybe trying a little different approaches.
Knowing what you know about the band and the industry, do you think that was a conscious decision on their part, or was it influenced by the record label and the powers that be?
You what to do that song? You mean?
Well, not to do the song necessarily, but not to deviate too far off path.
Possible, yeah. I mean, there's certain bands that, it's hard to say. I'd say probably that was that. I mean, well, I don't know if it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case, because I'm sure that happened with a lot of bands at the time.
Yeah, and then the last one is attributed to Mickey Rat, which was the original band's name, featuring Jakey Lee and Cry in Time. And that's the song I was talking about up top, that the first time I heard it, I'm like, oh God, this is awful. I really didn't like it.
Right.
And then it just really started to grow on me, and I really, really came to appreciate it.
I'll be honest. That is a song I never heard until I started work on the book. Because once I started work on the book, I was like, oh, I got to do research and listen to all the Rat albums, even ones I'm not that familiar with. And I realized that there was a compilation of, you said it was called Mickey Rat, which was the band before Rat. It was with Stephen Pearcy and Jakey Lee before Ozzy was in that band with Stephen. And it's all demos and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a great raw song. What I like so much about it, it starts off totally unlike any other Rat song. It's like a guitar jam, but it's like not, when I say jam, it's not like Allman Brothers type jam. It's almost like a Black Sabbath type jam. I can't really even explain it, but it was a very heavy direction also for Rat. That was definitely a heavy metal song, whereas Rat, as they go on in the 80s, it's more like melodic. And that's just like a very raw rock sandwich. Again, I think that's the direction I wish Rat would have stayed on with some of their albums.
And the interesting thing about Rat's career is you see the typical trajectory of a band. First album, breakthrough, 3-4 million copies. Second album, still successful, 2-3 million. Third album, real dip. Fourth album. Did they even get to a fifth album on Atlantic?
Yeah, they did. They put out 5. It was, what do I say? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 5.
Okay.
5 albums. Yeah, I'll be honest. The fifth album, it's called Detonator, and like even in the book, the band members aren't very happy with that album. They went into it with the intention to make a raw album, a more raw album, and they wound up for some reason hiring Desmond Child as the producer.
Oh God!
And Desmond Child, I totally appreciate, and he's very talented. And again, his track record speaks for itself.
For sure.
But if you want to record a raw metal album, Desmond Child is not who you go to for that.
And I don't know if you saw my face when you named the title of the album. You said Detonator. I was like, oh God, that just sounds awful.
Yeah.
Well, this is great. You've given me some good ideas just in our casual conversation.
Yeah, I was going to say, and if you enjoy that book, you check out all my other books as well.
Well, the one that's actually in my cart is the one that ties into my other podcast, the 300 Forgotten. I don't have my Amazon up right now.
Oh yeah, it's called Overlooked, Underrated.
Yep. That's the one that's in my cart as we speak.
Good. Yeah, I think you'll enjoy that one.
Yeah.
I was going to say also, if anyone wants to check out my book, just go on Amazon and search for Greg Prato. That's Prato. And I've done, I think 44 books. You believe that? Jesus, I'm just very, very tired at this point. I got to go take a nap.
Do you have kids?
I do have one lovely daughter.
Okay. I was going to say, wow.
And then also I was going to say, if you want, I'm always writing and doing interviews. I post a lot of them on my Twitter page, which is twitter.com/Greg Prato Writer.
Is it X now or is it Twitter?
Honestly, I've tried when you type in x.com, it goes automatically to Twitter. So I just stick with Twitter. I don't even bother calling it X anymore. Or anything. But I'm always posting my latest interviews. Like I recently interviewed Buck Dharma from Blue Oyster Cult. I also interviewed a couple of guys from Deep Purple recently, Ministry.
Oh, wow.
In fact, the band Dragon Force I just mentioned, I interviewed permanently for the website Ultimate Guitar that I write for. So I'm always posting, and also my latest books I always post whenever I'm going to be announcing a book. I post it on there.
Why do you do Twitter versus Instagram? Because Twitter gives me anxiety, and that's not a joke. I
do also. I was going to say also do Instagram. It's Instagram.com/Greg Prato Writer. My shtick on Instagram is like if it's a picture of me on Instagram, I don't show my face, so it'll be like me, like that. Some
profile. Okay.
But I'm also always posting, like whenever I have a book, I will post a book there because I'm all about promotion.
But you're more active on Twitter.
More active on Twitter. Instagram is more kind of like artsy fartsy.
Okay. And what about the face of book?
Facebook. I mean, that is kind of hit or miss. I'd say it's easier to see all my writing on probably Twitter. So I would say check out the Twitter page. Instagram, I don't post any articles. It's just if I announce a book, it'll be on there. So I would suggest twitter.com/Greg Prato Writer. If you want to read my articles, do that.
Do you have a link tree on your?
I do actually have a link tree on my Twitter. So if you click on the link tree, it'll take you to my Amazon page.
Okay.
And my Instagram page, and also on my link tree page, I have all my past articles that I wrote for like Rolling Stone and Vintage Guitar Magazine, Guitar World, all those. So you'll have a whole entire month long of reading material.
All right. So Twitter at Greg Prato Writer.
Yep. Twitter.com/Greg Prato Writer. Instagram.com/Greg Prato Writer, and go on Amazon, search for Greg Prato. Or if you just want to search for World Infestation, the Rat Story, you can always just search for that as well.
And you can get the audiobook and hear Greg tell you all about the story of Rat.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, man. Listen, thanks so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate it too.
Take care, man.
Thank you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I'm going to hit end now.
Mix and Match was written and produced by Keith R. Higgins. It was recorded at Thunder Love Studio, where it was engineered by Tony Jackson and mixed by Diane Coughlin. A new episode drops every Monday night. Thanks for listening.